What factors can impact your business model, and how do you address them in your pitch deck story? Let's find out. Now, explaining your business model on one slide can be challenging. That's because there are many factors that will influence your decision of what you put on that slide. So in this video, I'm going to walk you through some of the elements that can impact that decision, because by seeing the big picture, you'll be able to decide what elements are relevant to you and what are not. So in the next few videos after this one, I'm also going to show you a business model slides as examples. So in this section, there are no examples. It's more about these factors that will impact what you will put on your slides. So let's start with the revenue model. How can your business or project make money? Now here's a diagram I created to explain this visually and make it simple. The outer circle shows your revenue sources and the inner circle shows the income type. Because it doesn't matter what type of business you're in, it doesn't matter what industry you're in. You could be in the services, you could be in the consumer goods, you could be in the energy, utilities, insurance, or materials. When you take a closer look at every business income or every revenue model and revenue source, you're going to notice that most of these revenue streams fall under one, two, or more of these categories. They're either making money by selling services, they're selling products, an affiliate program, or using a licensing model. So let's take a closer look to see what type of income your business or your project can make. So let's start with services. Now, services is one of the most common forms of business income. You can make money by providing a service or multiple services. So to scale a services business, you'll need to hire other people to help you deliver that services. This is how cleaning companies, constructions, accountants, lawyers, doctors, marketing agencies, and similar companies make their money, by offering services. Now, usually the company or the founders, it might start out with one person and eventually it grows to hundreds or sometimes thousands of service providers in multiple locations. Now, the owners create the company and they hire other people who are willing to get paid less to do the job, and they end up pocketing the difference. Now, the good news is that services will always be in demand, but it also means that you have to keep a lot of people on the payroll. So anytime there's a disruption in the market, like a pandemic or economic crisis, the business ends up with more money going out than money coming in. So you'll need to find ways to supplement your services business with more revenue channels. And that's why many services companies also sell products. Now, when done right, selling products can drastically increase your income, because products can help you break that barrier of the services business, because services are limited by the number of hours and the number of people who can deliver that service. But when you sell products, there are no limits. The more products you have, the more you can sell. Now, the products you decide to sell and how you sell them will also impact your business model. They will have a massive difference on your income potential. Now, in general, there are three different categories of products. So first, you have physical products. They're like clothing, supplies, electronics, food or gadgets, really anything that is tangible. Now, physical products will always be in demand, but the downside is that every time you sell a product, you have to make a new one to sell it. Now, digital products like music, videos, stock photos, software, applications, and any other product that can be delivered digitally. Now, digital products are easier to scale because you can create them once and then you can sell them over and over again. And then you have information products, which could be a combination. So you could have books, courses, and workshops. So really, books could be physical products. They could also be digital. Courses could be online courses. They're digital. Workshops are really more of a service. So it's kind of a hybrid model where you have a service as a product as well. Now, all product categories have their pros and their cons, and how you acquire these products will also impact your income. Are you making them yourself? Now, if you're making them yourself, then you are selling a service and not a product. But if you use a wholesaler or a manufacturer or a drop shipping supplier, then you have more opportunities to scale. Now, there are many factors that will impact your pricing and how much you get to keep in your pocket in the end. In some cases, products can make you a lot of money. In some cases, products, manufacturing, and supply chain issues can end up costing you more and could get your business in trouble. That's why you need to know how much everything costs and how much income you are making in return. Now, if you remember in the previous video, we talked about that capture, about the create, deliver, and capture. How much does it cost you to create? How much does it cost you to deliver? And then what do you get back in return? Now, another way is to sell products is by being an affiliate. Now, the word affiliate can have meanings depending on the context. It can have many meanings depending on the context. In some cases, it can mean a complex business agreement or a business structure between two companies. But in the general sense, for the average population, affiliate really is referring to affiliate marketing. Now, affiliates make money by promoting other people's products and services, which means they don't get involved in the making or in the delivery. They profit by making a sales commission. Now, some sponsorship and advertising programs can also fall under the affiliate, especially if the income you make depends on the number of views or interactions. So it's a conditional commission. So if you're making a commission based on a certain criteria, that would be a form of affiliate marketing. And that's how many social media influencers make their money. Affiliate marketing is a good way to increase your business income with minimal effort, especially if you already have a long list of followers, if you have a long email list or client list, or if you have a big social media following, you can make income by recommending other people's products and services. Now, the other type of income is licensing. That's when you make money from royalties or licensing fees. Now, unlike affiliate marketing, which can be canceled at any time, licensing agreements are more legally binding. So first, you have royalties, which are ongoing payments based on usage and sales. That's how many artists, musicians, and authors make money. Every time one of their creations or inventions are sold or streamed on a digital platform, they get a percentage of the sale. Now, licensing fees are usually a fixed amount, so they're different from the royalties. They're more fixed amounts. So if you have any proprietary invention or creation or patented technology, you can charge a fee every time someone uses it or integrates it as part of their business solution. Now, many membership fees that you pay for software, telecommunication, for your internet, for your entertainment as well, they are all in a way licensing fees because you are paying a fee to access a product or service. So, for example, a software as a service, it's called SaaS, is a form of licensing. Now, another form of licensing could be a franchise or a dealership. So to get a franchise or a car dealership, you have to pay a licensing fee for the rights to represent that brand in a particular location. So really, most successful and scalable businesses would usually have multiple streams of income. They rarely rely on one stream of income only. They can also create a hybrid with a mix of products and licensing, service and licensing, or service as part of a product. So really, your solution mix and how you operate your business will also impact the type of income you can get. And now let's talk about income. Now, the most common type of income is active income. Active income refers to income for which services have been performed. That could include wages, tips, salaries, commissions, and income from business activities that involves your time and effort. So unless you're working, you won't get paid. Now, all services, consulting, and coaching programs would fall under active income. Passive income is typically derived from business activities or investments in which you are not actively involved. Now, even though you're not actively working, you still need to invest some time and money to set that income in motion. So rental property income and stocks that pay out dividends would qualify as passive income. Or the sale of digital and information products. You create them once, but you can keep generating income with minimal effort. Residual income is a form of passive income because it means that you can earn income without additional effort. It can also mean different things depending on the context, so whether you're in the world of personal finance, corporate finance, or equity valuation. Now, in some circumstances, it could mean royalties from intellectual properties like books, apps, movies, games, and songs, or other inventions, or licensing agreements that keep generating an income for you even if you're no longer involved in the process. Now, some affiliate programs can also pay out residual income, especially if you're promoting software or technology that pays a lifetime commission. So you get the company the first sale, but you keep collecting commissions as long as the buyer is paying the monthly fees and membership program. Now, some affiliate programs have 2 levels of commissions where you also get a percentage of any sales generated by people you recruit into the system. So if you're just starting out or if you have a small lifestyle business, the difference between passive and residual income might not really matter. But if you have a scalable business and you want to attract partners and investors, then you need to be more thorough. So always check with a local accountant, a local lawyer who is familiar with your business jurisdiction, because business and investment laws can vary by location. So passive, residual, and active income might be taxed differently in different countries or even some different states and provinces. In some countries, some forms of residual income might be illegal. So make sure you consult with a local consultant that is familiar with your business jurisdiction, because all of these little details could impact the future of your business, especially if you plan to bring on investors or if you plan to sell your company in the future, or if you plan to take your company public. Even the details down to 1 cent are going to be looked into. So if you have that from the foundation, it's going to be much easier for you in the future to scale. So now you can see how your revenue sources, product category, and type of income can impact your business model and what you add onto the slide. And all of this information is specifically important from an investment point of view. And remember, you are the biggest investor in this project and business. Now, another aspect is the transaction type. The business transaction can help you determine if your business is scalable or not. Now, the first most common business transaction type is the B2B, which means a business transaction between one business and another business. So whether you have a manufacturer, a wholesaler, selling to retailer, these would be kind of a business to business. Now, in many cases, because there's less businesses than there are people, so it's a lower volume of sales, but at the same time, business to business, they can charge more money, which means that there's more income potential. And at the same time, B2B businesses are usually based on repeat sales, because once a business gets a relationship with a vendor and a supplier, it's usually a long-term relationship, which means it's easier for that business to keep getting repeat sales and scaling their business. And that is something that is appealing, especially to investors. Now, the second type is the B2C, which is a business transaction between a business and the individual, the end consumer. So anytime you go to a store like Target, Macy's, or Walmart, or your local retail stores, it is a B2C transaction. Now, B2C transactions are usually higher volume because there are way more people than there are businesses on the planet, but at the same time, it's a lower price point, which means that the business has to sell way more in order to make the same amount of profit that a B2B business could make. And at the same time, because of the competition, B2C companies end up spending more money on advertising. So it also lowers their profit margins. So they need to find a balance to make sure that it makes financial sense. Now, the third type of income could be direct to consumers. Now, this is something when a product creator sells directly to a consumer. And thanks to the internet, we have a lot more opportunities right now because you find you can start your own e-commerce store. So anything you create, you can sell directly online. You can sell through your social media page. You don't even need an online store. Or if you have a dedicated retail store in your own area and you're selling directly, that would be direct to consumer. And just like the B2C, it's also high volume and low price, and it will also require a higher marketing budget. Now, I put together this diagram so you can see the difference and what can impact your business model, because these are questions you need to be answering for yourself and anyone that could be a business partner or in potential investors. So a traditional business to consumer model has many more steps in between. So first it goes from the manufacturer to the wholesaler to the distributor to the retailer, and each one of them wants a cut of money. So by the time it reaches the consumer, the profit margin that the retailer can make is not always as high as the money that they can make if they went direct to consumer. So direct to consumer could be the manufacturing, or if you're doing the product yourself, or you put it on your website and you do a bit of advertising and it goes to the consumer. So it allows for a much higher profit margin. So these are the things that you might want to mention on your pitch deck. Now, I added the last category because I do know many people are entering into that space where it's the C2C, and that is where it's consumer to consumer transaction. And many people are doing that right now. And that is when you have a personal transaction with two private individuals. So there's no business involved. So many people sell their own personal products, or maybe they're doing arbitrage where they go get things from the thrift store and then they end up selling them online. So there are many people who are doing that type of business. Now, this type of business is a little bit more tricky, hard to scale because many of these transactions are one-time sales. It's hard to build that relationship with the consumer, and many of these platforms don't give you the consumer information. So once you have that sale, you're legally not allowed to email people who have bought from you, which means you cannot generate that repeat sale. Which also means that it's harder to scale, and it's not something that would be appealing to investors. So if you know what type of transaction type you have, and you put that on your presentation slide, it's going to make it much easier for anyone who wants to do business with you. And I'll show you in the next few videos how you can make that distinguish, especially if you have 2 different sources of income, or you can have 3 different kind of transactions through your business. So now you can see how the business transaction model can also affect your business. Repeat business is more scalable and more desirable, especially for investors. Which brings us to another factor that will affect your business model, and that is the customer lifetime value. Now, CLV, customer lifetime value, means how much money can you expect to make from each customer that comes into your business. Because if you only make 1 sale from each customer, you'll find yourself in an endless loop of looking for new customers. Now, to have a healthy and sustainable business, you need to generate repeat sales from existing customers. Because repeat sales are much easier than new sales, because the customer already knows you. You already have that relationship with you. So all you have to do is suggest a new offer and solution, or offer solutions that generate repeat sales like membership programs or anything that has that monthly or annual payment plan. Now, most new and small businesses don't know the lifetime value of their own customer, and they don't know how to track and calculate it. But if you want a healthy and scalable business, you need to know that number, especially if you plan to talk to investors, partners. They're going to ask you, what is the customer lifetime value? So to get that number, you can estimate the average revenue a single customer can spend with your business. So you'll start by calculating the average order size. So when someone comes to your business and they buy from you, on average, how much do they spend? Next is the purchase frequency rate. On average, how many times do they come back to buy more from you? And the third step is lifetime. On average, how long does a customer stays within your business? So when you multiply these numbers, you'll get the customer lifetime value. So here's an example of how this might look like. So let's say the average order size in your business is around $100 for each sale, and your customer comes back on a monthly basis. Maybe you have a membership program or some kind of payment that they have to do monthly, and so there's 12 payments a year, and the average time they spend with your business before they decide they don't need that service, or maybe they found another service, is around 3.5 years. So when you multiply all of these numbers, you're going to get the customer lifetime value of around $4,200. Now, if the customer only buys once from you and they only spend $100 with you, then this is going to be very tricky, because in many cases your advertising costs are going to be higher than $100 per customer, especially for a new business. So now you can see how the customer lifetime value can also impact your business model. Now, next is the customer acquisition cost. Now, customer acquisition cost means your marketing cost. On average, how much do you spend in time, effort, and money to get one paying customer into your business? So to calculate that number, you would start with the total cost of attracting new customers, usually on a monthly basis, quarterly, or an annual basis. So you divide that number by the number of customers gained, and the result would be your customer acquisition cost. So here's an example. Let's say you spent $50,000 a year on marketing, and you got 500 new customers a year into your business. So your average customer acquisition cost would be around $100 per customer. So if you're only making $100 from that customer, then really your business is barely surviving. So you need to find ways to increase that number. So you can see here on this slide, I've shown you the 2 different examples. If you want a profitable business, you need the customer lifetime value to be much higher than the customer acquisition cost, But in many businesses, unfortunately, that only have that one-time sale, the customer acquisition cost is so much higher than what they're making in profit, which makes the business non-profitable. So that's why you need to be tracking these numbers, because investors are going to ask you. And remember, as the business or project leader, you are the biggest investor. You are investing a lot of time and money into this project or business. So you need to know if all of this is worth the time and effort. Now, in your business model, you need to find ways to increase your customer lifetime value, which means you need to find ways to get the customer to come back and buy more from you. Now, you can do what many of the fast food places or many of the stores do. You can do something called a cross-sell. That's when you give them additional product options to increase the value of the sale. So anytime you go to a fast food place, when you get a burger or a sandwich, they usually ask you, do you want fries and a drink with that? And that's how you do cross-sell to increase the order size. You can also do something called upsell. So for example, if somebody orders a small drink, you can say, well, you know what, for 50 cents more, you can get the medium or the large. Now, it's probably going to only cost them 1 cent or 2 cents for the business, but they just made about 49 or 48 cents in profits. So that's another way where you can increase that number. Another way, of course, is the repeat sale. So even if you don't have a membership model, you can give people an incentive. Now, if you have ever been to a coffee shop, they usually have these cards where if you probably buy 9 drinks, the 10th one is free. So many of these businesses have an incentive, a loyalty program where they get people to come back and buy more. Another common way is to have a wider selection of products where you give the customer more options and more opportunities to buy from you. So usually many businesses start with something called the front end. So they get people into the business with a lower price item, and then they have back end items. As you build that relationship with the customer, you can start showing them some more expensive items. Now, the kings of product selections are IKEA. Now, chances are, if you've lived in any big city, you might have been to IKEA, you've heard of IKEA, or maybe you got the IKEA catalog in the mail. Now, the IKEA catalog is filled with so many options. If you go to that store, you've got different levels, and it's a huge place with such a big product selection. Now, I know myself, over the years, I've spent thousands of dollars there at IKEA. And it could just start simply by getting a front-end product. For example, you might just go in during your college days or when you're just starting out your city life, and you get some low-end glasses at around $6 right now. That's what they cost for a six-pack, so it's about $1 a glass. And as you progress that relationship with them, eventually you might want to remodel your kitchen, and you could be spending close to $20,000. So you can see that's how IKEA gets that lifetime value of the customer to go up, because if they just relied on the glasses, then there's really no business. That advertising is not worth it. They need to justify the business costs. So really the key here is to build stronger relationships and look for ways to get repeat sales, because you will get some customers who lose you money. They'll end up they'll waste your time and their money, and they'll come take up your time and money only to buy once. So your goal really is to find a business model that generates more sales over time, and that's what investors are also looking for. So now you can see how the two numbers work together. You need to look for ways to increase the lifetime value of the customer, and you need to look for ways to lower the customer acquisition cost. Now, another factor that many businesses miss is the customer support cost. Now, anytime a customer calls you for support, they are costing you money. Every time they return an item, they make an exchange, or they call with questions and complaints, they are costing you money. And that's why you need to be tracking your customer support cost. And that's where many businesses that sell products lose money, because they did not factor the customer service cost in the equation. So having automated customer support options and a good support team can lower your costs. So looking at that business model where we said the create, deliver, and capture, so the customer service would be also under the delivery as well, the delivery of the support to the service. So you need to show that you're tracking these numbers, especially if you're planning to scale, which brings us to the market size. Now, knowing your market size is important, especially if you plan to talk to investors. So if you have the numbers of your market, you can include them in your pitch deck. Now, generally on a pitch deck, people have referred to the market size in 3 numbers. The first one is the total addressable market, which is also called TAM. And that is the full number of people people or the full dollar amount of the entire market that is in your particular category. Now, unless you know how to play global monopoly, chances are you won't be able to get that number. Next, you can show serviceable available market, also known as SAM, which refers to the number that is more applicable to your particular solution or maybe your particular geographic location if you have a local business. And the third number, which is really what most people really care about, is the serviceable obtainable market, and also known as TOM. And that's the percentage of the market that you can realistically get as paying customers. Now, of course, this is all speculation. You cannot guarantee that anyone will buy from you. That's why many investors don't take this slide seriously unless you have some sales to prove it. But at the same time, they want to know that you have done your homework and that you know your market well. Because if you know your market well, you'll know how to reach them and you'll know how to market to them. Now, you can also show the market size from another perspective. So if you're dealing with a small niche market, you can show the number without speculating the share that you can get. So, for example, there are 55 million adults aged 65 and older currently living in the United States. And by 2050, that number is expected to grow to almost 90 million. So any product or service for this growing group of people has a potential to make money. The number is specific and focuses on one location. And you're not speculating what percentage you can get, but you are still showing potential. Now, if you're not sure of your market size, you can do a bit more research. You can go to websites like IBIS World, where they have a lot of research on many markets. You can also visit websites like Statista, where you can find statistics on many industries. Now, some of them are paid, some of them are free. So here's an example of some free statistics that I just Googled to give you an example. So looking at the vegan market, so you can see here that the value of the worldwide vegan market from 2020 to 21, what it was, and what is their forecast for 2025. So if you are in that particular category, getting that forecast can work in your advantage because you can show investors, look, we know the potential and this is what is the total addressable market. And then you can create a calculation to see how much you can realistically capture from it. Now, if you're talking to big investors, you might want to purchase more comprehensive reports. You don't just want to bring general statistics that's available right there. So you'll find many research firms that actually do sell reports like this one here, Precedence Research. You can see that they have a report for around $4,900. You can buy a single-use license and you can download their research. So they've done all the legwork. They've studied that industries. They've interviewed so many people. So by paying for that report, they are saving you time or hiring someone to do all of this work for you so you can get more details on the market. So if you're planning to recruit business partners or investors, you'll show that you really understand your market and what you're talking about. So now you can see that there are many factors that will impact your business model slide. And that's why many people find the business model slide challenging. They're thinking like, what am I supposed to put on that slide? Now I'm going to show you examples in the next few videos. But for now, do you remember what the factors are that could impact your business model? Do you remember at least maybe 2 or 3 of them? Let's see. Well, here they are. You've got your revenue source, the product category can impact, type of income, business transaction, customer lifetime value, customer acquisition cost, your customer support costs, and also the market size. All of these will impact what you end up putting on your slide. So really your action item for this video is to watch the following 2 videos. There's a few more videos on the business model and before you create your business model, because if you know the foundation, you'll be able to make a better decision. So go ahead and I'll see you in the next video.